So then, Gene Oakland is backstage again with Hulk Hogan. Hogan says, "Fee fi fo fum, 1 year's gone and your time has come." He draws on the controversial near fall at WrestleMania 3 at the beginning of the match. He says he'll prove he can beat Andre any place and any time. Hogan starts talking about fault lines and Trump holding on to top of the roof of the Trump Plaza to save himself and his family. And I completely lost the thread of what the hell was going on at that point.
He basically said, if everyone falls into the water by Trump Plaza, if they're struggling, they can cling on to Hogan's back and he'd backstroke them to safety. Now, if you think about the logistics of this, if you're doing a backstroke and people are on your back, they're dying, they're drowning. So what are you talking about, Hulk? And also, he said people kept asking him if he'd actually beaten the Giant. Surely this is all over WWE television. Give him the copy of WrestleMania 3 and tell him to shut up. This was appalling. What was this? Like, there's no talk about needing some quality control. I don't know whether Hogan came up with this or what, but this was, I don't get it. Like, wretched.
Also, they are now not treating Andre as a dominant force that he should be treated as. Like Hogan saying, "I could beat him anytime, any place." Now,
yeah.
There's no doubt. Previous to WrestleMania 3, there was some doubt. There was like, "Oh, it's Andre the Giant. He's been undefeated all of his career." Obviously, he hadn't, but that's not the point. That was what they were selling. And here it's just, "I could beat him anytime, any place, no problem." It's weird.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, I'm with Stephen on it. Absolutely shocking. At one point, I had to rewind it a little bit because I thought I didn't get what he was saying. However, it was saved a little bit by the excellent backstroke that he did off camera. I thought that was pretty. It made me smile a little bit. But yeah, crap. Which is surprising for Hogan because I always thought it was pretty good promo, Hogan. So I was quite surprised actually when I knew he was being interviewed. I thought, all right, well, this is going to be good.
It was almost Ultimate Warrior style. It was almost Ultimate Warrior, like in just the ranting nature of it. But, ultimately, I guess that was probably enough. If you could talk fast and say something that mildly hung together, that was enough at this time, I think. So we then see Sugar Ray Leonard in the crowd very briefly, and then we get the video detailing the history between Hulk Hogan and Andre, including the build to WrestleMania 3 itself, the disputed 2 count in that match, Ted DiBiase saying he will buy the WWF title, Hogan saying hell no when DiBiase asks him to do so. Andre then attacking Hogan on Saturday night's main event. Andre confirming he will sell DiBiase the world title. And then Hogan versus Andre at the main event with the fake Hebner, who had obviously had the plastic surgery to make him look like Dave Hebner. Of course, they were just twins in real life. So it was quite a detailed video package, I thought this. And from what we've seen in the previous WrestleManias, this is the first one that really gets that treatment, I think. What did you make of all that stuff?
Yeah, it was good. Really good. Shock horror, WWE, WWF are really good at video packages. And it shows that they were good at them back in the day. Yeah, I really liked it. It told the story, built up to the match. Nothing bad to say about it. It's good.
Yeah, I like it. And I think this is the thing that really stands out for me about this show, that you can still speak for it in its sort of defense, is that there is a lot of thought here going on over time to the journey Hogan's on. And I've gone on about this, proud on about it for ages. But I think in the main, especially your top babyface, you have to have a journey that they're going on. It can't just be what it was with Cena through most of 2007, 8, 9, 10, where basically he went into a feud. It lasted 3 months. He had 3 matches against them. He finished it. Then went on to the next thing, and everything was reset. It was like a James Bond movie every time. In Hogan's world, everything seems to be connecting one piece to the next. So in the WrestleMania 3 build-up, they show a clip of Andre the Giant congratulating Hogan on winning the title in 1984 after beating the Iron Sheik. So it kind of almost makes it look as if there's this whole journey here between Andre and Hogan and their friendship building to this moment where Andre finally decides, actually, I want the title and I'm going to come for it and I'm going to join Bobby Heenan. And then you've been on a journey from that point to this point, which is obviously some people suggesting that Hogan shouldn't have won the match at WrestleMania 3 because of the early near fall when he goes for the slam on Andre and Andre falls on him. And then running through the build to their rematch at the main event, then their main event match, DiBiase meanwhile being introduced to the storyline and wanting the title and wanting to buy it, Hogan saying he wouldn't sell it to him, so DiBiase turning to Andre to get that belt. And I thought this is what you want. And not only that, but as we'll see as this show evolves, they then mix that all up and put it all in a mixer, and it results ultimately in where Hogan's going to go next. on that journey. That's the bit for me, and this video kind of really kind of honed in on it, is where at least the promotion, maybe not the show itself, but the promotion is really strong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it definitely builds up this match because, again, I wasn't looking forward to it. And then when I watched the video package, I was like, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I'm up for this now. I'm up for it. So, yeah, it was good. Really good.
It is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant next. This one goes for 5 minutes, nearly 6 minutes in the end. And at the end of it, basically there's a chair that gets kind of introduced. They both hit each other with the chair, and the referee deems that that's a double disqualification. Although, in fairness, Hogan definitely hits Andre with the chair first. So I'm not really sure what that one's about. I'm pretty sure that's what Alex is about to rant on in a moment. After the match, Hogan chases off DiBiase and Virgil. DiBiase throws Virgil to Hogan. Hogan suplexes him in the aisle, and then Hogan returns to the ring and slams Andre. Then Hogan poses for a while because why not?
Do you know what? I really enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed it. Really quick pace at the start. Doesn't give you any time to breathe, and it carries that on throughout, with the exception of the is it a nerve hold when he does the three drops of the arm? I can't remember what move it is.
Yeah, it's a nerve. Yeah, like the nerve hold thing.
I really enjoyed it until the end. I absolutely hated the end because Hogan should be disqualified because he uses that chair first. There's no excuse for it. It infuriated me, and this was going to be a contender for my match of the night. But for me, the end is probably the most important part of a match. It just ruins it all for me. Anyway, you can have a brilliant match, and if the end's shit, it does it for me, and I can't have it as my match of the night for that reason. It really infuriated me. And then the pausing after, I'm thinking you've been knocked out of the tournament. Why you? I get why they're doing it, because everyone wants to see Hogan. Hogan must pause and all that. But you know, it's the biggest celebration for someone who's been knocked out of the tournament. But in fairness, the crowd love it, so I can kind of see past that. But the end of this match just infuriated me and kind of ruined it for me.
From my perspective, I actually think so. We watched WrestleMania 3 last time, and for me, this was a significant drop off compared to that match. Now, obviously, for obvious reasons. I mean, that's the first time. It's a big match. It's a major match, and obviously, there's a huge crowd. Everyone's on hand to see, and they're anticipating this contest. And I think here, Andre seems to be able to do more than he did at WrestleMania 3. He seems a bit more mobile. I don't know. I think Steven mentioned a while ago that he had some surgery at some point in the year between WrestleManias 3 and 4, which would make sense given the way he was kind of able to move here. But there's something about it. It just doesn't have the same aura about it, and that's understandable because it's a rematch, but it doesn't have any aura about it. That's the thing for me. It feels so diminished compared to that WrestleMania 3 match. They go straight into it. Andre attacks Hogan before the bell, which obviously removes all that kind of big fight feel because they don't have the pose down and whatnot. But also, it just doesn't seem like there's been as much thought into how they're going to lay out the match or how they're going to do the match. It just feels a lot more just thrown together without an awful lot of thought. And they don't seem to give it the gravitas that it deserved as a Hogan versus Andre rematch. It just feels like we need to get in there, get out, get this done and finish it, which is bizarre given that the crowd have been waiting for Hogan all night. And there's still loads of the show to go, and they're basically getting him in and out. I don't know. As I said, it feels like Andre the Giant can do more in this match. He feels like he's more mobile. He feels like he's actually got the ability to do more. And yet the net result is it just doesn't feel anywhere near as good. Doesn't do anything for me. I know you said you quite liked it, Alex, but for me, it wasn't that. And then of course the end just is a nonsense. Like Hogan hits Andre with a chair, so he's got to be disqualified, right? It's not a double DQ just because Andre hit him back. He's got to be DQ'd. So that's a really stupid ending. Given this is such a showpiece part of this whole thing and the reason why Hogan and Andre come out of the tournament, you'd have thought they would have come up with something a bit better. I can understand if this was the ending they used for Jake Roberts and Rick Rude, because that's not as important, but this is really key to the whole thing. Is inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. Stephen, what did you think of the match?
I thought the best thing about the whole thing was Greg DeGeorge's reaction to Hogan saying hell no in the pre-match video when it looked like he'd had both of his eardrums perforated. I thought that you're right about Andre. I think he'd had his back operation in 87 and then he worked pretty significant schedule in 87 and 89. Sorry, 88 and 89. But if you were a kid and you convinced your parents to get this pay-per-view basically on the strength of this third match, I think you'd have been really, really disappointed with the presentation of this and the result. I wonder, though I don't have strong feelings about this, should Andre have been the person to go to the main event to be beaten in the final?
Very possibly. And I think in these days he would have been. I think this was just a consequence of a time when booking was much more conservative and they were always out to protect. It's not the right word, but there are a number of times on this show where people don't win matches cleanly or win by count out or win by DQ. And they just were so reluctant to have recognized stars be other recognized stars.
Yeah.
It almost is a continuation of the fact that on TV, on free TV, it was nearly always jobber matches. When they finally did come together against each other, even on pay-per-view, it was like, oh, we're a bit reluctant to have one of them go over the other. It's bizarre, but I think you're probably right. I think that would have made a lot more sense because it would have given Randy Savage a much more kind of legitimate claim to the world title.
I think it's about their. They did that match a lot on live events, and that is, I think, why they didn't give it away. I think, and that is it.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. It's a good shout putting Andre in the final, because then you could have built up the Hogan Andre as a semi-final and had the shock win of Andre beating Hogan. If they probably wouldn't have wanted to beat Hogan as well. Hogan wouldn't have wanted to be beaten at that time, and then maybe had the DiBiase Savage in the other semi-final. But I never thought about that. It's a good show.
Well, I think you could do everything in this. You could have Hogan hit Andre first with a chair after being some interference from the outside that the ref didn't see. He's out DQ, and then you do the finish exactly as it was with Hogan smashing Andre with a chair. I think that makes complete sense. Yeah. And then you've got the plausible deniability that Andre's been kind of screwed out of it again. But I suppose the story was $1 Million Man trying to get the title and buying the title and all that stuff. So I suppose Andre could have had, I don't know. But they didn't do that. So I could pontificate for an hour about that, but we probably haven't got enough time really. So.
But I wonder whether or not as well, though, they could have at some point gone to Savage versus Andre for the title on a major show, even if it was a Saturday night's main event, just to put Savage over that bit better again after they'd maybe done the run of house show matches, then put them on TV or on SummerSlam. Again, that would have been a possibility, just to kind of give Savage that big victory, because he ultimately doesn't really get it even here, I would suggest. And why they're doing it. We know why they're doing it. We'll get to that later on. So it feels like it's worthwhile doing, but for whatever reason they don't.
I think I enjoyed this match more because I haven't seen the WrestleMania 3 match for a long time. Obviously, you watch WrestleMania 3, so I suppose it probably would be a bit of a letdown after watching that match. And I remember the match, and I remember it being, fantastic. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why I liked it so much. I wasn't expecting to, and I enjoyed it apart from the end.
They do more physically in this match than they do at WrestleMania 3, but that's just got all the feels. That's just got all of the kind of occasion.
But I quite like the pace. I quite liked it. It was just straight out the gates, and I wasn't expecting it, so I really liked it. And that's, for me, it just set the pace for the match with obviously the nerve holds that are being applied. But yeah, that I did enjoy it apart from the end.